What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button, join Ninja Nation. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Pablo Lopez, who had 4 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, thanks to his changeups and these wicked curveballs. Now, we all talk about Lopez's changeup, and rightly so. He has a 192 batting average against and a 37.5% whiff rate, but his curveball is also filthy. Opponents are only hitting .091 against that curveball with a 50% whiff rate. Jordan Montgomery had 8 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, thanks to his curveballs, fastballs, and changeup. His ERA this year is now 3.37. George Kirby had 5 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings. Kirby's strikeout-to-walk ratio this year is 7.2 to 1, which is really impressive for a rookie pitcher, and it's no fluke. In college, he actually led the nation in strikeout-to-walk ratio with 17.83 to 1. Tyler Mahle had 6 scoreless innings with 6 strikeouts due to his splitter and fastball. Austin Voth had 5 Ks in 5 1/3 innings and really showcased his high spin rate curveball. And you can see how nasty that curveball is. Speaking of curveballs, Nathan Eovaldi had 3 Ks in 6 innings thanks to his curveballs. Tony Gonsolin featured his wicked splitters on his way to 3 Ks in 6 2/3 innings. He's now 14-1 on the season. Mike Clevenger had 3 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 earned run, and had this cutter and 2-seamer. Cal Quantrill was filthy on his way to 7 Ks in 7 scoreless innings, and I love this K scream after this 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, the fastball may not have been a strike, but lose your mind, young Cal. Carlos Rodon had 7 Ks in 6 innings, and really had his slider working as well as his fastball and a curveball. This home plate view of his slider shows you how tough that slider is to hit. Look at the thing just bear down at your back foot. Yeah, that thing's hitting me in the ankle. Max Scherzer had 6 Ks in 7 innings due to his changeups, sliders, cutters, and fastball. And here's an overlay of his 84-mile-an-hour changeup and an 84-mile-an-hour slider, and you can see how those things actually cross on their way to the plate. Max's stuff is obviously filthy, but also his pitch sequencing is fantastic. His ERA this year is 1.93. But my filthiest starter of the day was Michael Kopech. Check out these fastballs and sliders. He really seemed to have his swagger back in this game after struggling for the past few games. Of course, facing the Tigers might do that for you, but he did have 11 strikeouts, which was his first double-digit strikeout game of the year. And he threw 6 innings of no-hit ball, being pulled from the game after only 85 pitches. Would you have left him in longer? Well, he probably wasn't going to get a no-hitter with 85 pitches through 6 innings. And he's thrown over 100 innings this year, which is the first time since 2018 that he's thrown over 100. So would you have left him in longer? Leave me your thoughts in the comments. I thought this overlay of Kopech's fastball and slider does a good job of showing how filthy his stuff is. You can see how these pitches switch places on their way to the plate. Now on to my filthiest relievers. Garrett Whitlock had this nasty slider and 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Liam Hendriks picked up a save thanks to this pinball out.
And this one kicks away from Sosa to Harrison. It's a pinball machine for the final out.
Colin McHugh had this sick slider. Andres Munoz had these wicked sliders. Opponents have a 51.4% whiff rate on Munoz's slider. Yikes. Kenley Jansen had this elevated cutter, and you can see how that ball comes off his fingers with that cut. Jansen's cutter is unique because it doesn't drop that much. It has the 3rd lowest drop of any cutter in baseball, which is why he's so successful with it up in the zone. Matt Brash had this filth and swords. Camilo Doval had this wicked slider. Aroldis Chapman had this filthy 2-seamer and 88-mile-an-hour splitter. Ryan Helsley had a 102-mile-an-hour fastball and this 90-mile-an-hour slider. You see how that thing drops on the way to the plate. Cue the trumpets Edwin Diaz had these nasty sliders, and here's an overlay of his 100-mile-an-hour fastball with a 93-mile-an-hour slider. Good luck. But my filthiest pitch of the night was this 98-mile-an-hour two-seamer from Cionel Perez. I mean, look at that thing. That is not fair. That pitch was so filthy that Kevin Brown, the Orioles announcer, put out a Pitching Ninja alert.
Pitching Ninja logo. Rob Friedman always posting videos of amazing pitches, amazing movement, does interviews with players. And the Orioles have had Pitching Ninja t-shirts made in orange and black. And Perez wears his all the time, and he was wearing his today. So, in part because he wore the t-shirt, but in part because that pitch was so good, that's got to end up on Pitching Ninja. It just has to.
Now on to some minor league action. Blake Trinan and Brewster Gratterall had outings yesterday. Facing those two guys in the minor leagues, yeah, minor leaguers need to be paid better. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. This gets me fired up. What is up, Ninja Nation? We have a huge day of pitching ahead of us. We have Jacob deGrom on the bump, Shane McClanahan pitching, Lance McCullers coming back, and my picks of the day today are for you Darvish to have 7 Ks or more, for Frankie Montas to have 6 Ks or more, for Corbin Burns to have 8 Ks or more, for Lucas Giolito to have 8 Ks or more, and for Aaron Nola to have 6 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?